What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
Hello and good morning and good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to Super PlayStation Bros, hosted by myself, Aru Diggs, and the ultimate, the web-slinging, the man himself, Doragon. Give it up.
Morning all, afternoon all, evening all, depending what time zone you're in. You're everywhere. We're everywhere. It's amazing. How are we this week, Rudigs? How has your week of PlayStationing been?
Oh, week on PlayStation has been epic. I've actually dove back into Spider-Man 2 because why not? I'm getting the refresher. Actually, you know, the real reason is because I started listening to the song Swing by Bench, that opening song. Oh my gosh, I'm like, okay, well, I have to play more Spider-Man. Cranked it up to the ultimate difficulty, and I was hoping for a little bit more difficulty, but we'll see. I'm just getting past the opening part, so maybe it'll crank up later on down the road. But I'm having
it
fun.
did on Spectacular, didn't it? The moment Venom sort of entered the fray, it really stepped up difficulty. So you've got a little bit of easing into it, I feel. Like, they can't just throw you wrestling a bear immediately like they do with God of War. Like, sometimes you've got to ease into it.
Yeah, well said, well said. So we'll be playing some of that, but at the same time, I wanted to close up some loose ends, and Jedi Survivor has had some recent updates, so I've thrown that on, and I've gone down the rabbit hole. I'm coming very close, I believe, to the end. There is some epic moments in there, but there is some... I don't know how to describe... The way I've been describing it is, I want to write in pencil, but you've given me a pen. There's just something about the sword play that is not connecting on the level that I'd like it to. But that's my issue. I'm still having some fun. I'm getting through it. And I want to give a shout out to all the chat coming in, showing some support. What's up, Lo-Fi Monk himself, coming from the monastery. We got Simply Pwned Gaming. And we got Dorgon himself. Let's go. And as well as N7 Spectres. Hey,
N7, hello!
And we've got the Willie Wilson doing the pony call. Hey, hey.
We do like our hay over here. We ponies like our hay.
Well, Dorgon, how about yourself? What's been going on in PlayStation for you this week? Tell me what's been getting those sticks on, or the helmet, if you've been throwing that on.
I wanted to. Like, today was going to be my day to throw the headset on. I've had the day off from work, so I've just been writing a script this morning. I went to get my hair cut. The hairdresser's was closed. Today's not gone exactly as I anticipated or wanted it to go. So yeah, nothing happened. The headset didn't go back on. I haven't returned to it since platinuming Spider-Man 2. I've then started to return to a game that I did just start up before Spider-Man launched, which was Forspoken. I got it in a bargain bin for about £20, so I'm trying to play through that one and see how I feel with that game. Not a huge amount into it at the moment, not knowing much about the world, story or mechanics, but what I've got my hands on I like so far, and that's pretty much been it. I've been playing a silly rhythm game on my phone a lot and losing many hours to that one because it's all country music based, and apparently I want to be from the southwest or something, so yeah, that's where I've been at.
Oh, and I gotta show this off because you can't make it out. All right, it says the PlayStation thing here, but look at this. Well, PlayStation swag.
Nice, very nice.
But it's all the way down there. It should be like front and center up here, but
It should be, but at least it's the classic PS1 PlayStation logo. That's the big thing. Like, I love the colors of that PS1 logo. So much so I got the sticker and put it on my PS5. I know Miss Phoenix, who's regularly in chat for us as well, did exactly the same. She got those stickers, put the PS1 logo on her PS5. It looks so good, especially as I've got the Spider-Man 2 plates on there. So with that black Venom side and then this bright PlayStation logo with all of these fantastical colors popping through, it looks phenomenal. It's awesome.
I love it. They definitely should go back. I don't know what the move to black and white was, but I guess it's trending. They know the trends. Well,
do they? We all want the colored ones. Give us color back. We want color in our lives. We're sick of this monochrome lark.
we may want it, but I feel like, you know, don't they just love like the charcoal color over there in Japan? Like, can't you get charcoal burgers and like different things? Like, isn't that like a fad and a trend type of thing?
It's more of a Western fad. They do use charcoal in certain things, and it is traditional for what they're doing, but it's not like a fad or a phase or anything like that. It's steeped in tradition, and it's not in everything or everywhere. In terms of colors, Japan is bright. Japan is really colorful. They want everything to be popping, full of color. If you look at their fashion, it's all bright and out there, wacky and wild. Like, they don't do the sort of muted grays, blues and blacks of what we have in the Western world. They're much more vibrant with their personality and wear it upon their sleeves, which I wish we had more of over here. I really do. I walk down the street sometimes and the only color I will see outside of the monochrome is blue, and that's generally people's jeans. So yeah, I'd like to see more color. And hey, PlayStation, you're a Japanese country, bring us more color. We like the color. Yeah. Bring it.
And bring us more Astro. Get him more involved.
Get your button gear and get us Astro.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Well, don't forget to support the podcast. There are 3 easy ways to do it for free. 1, subscribe to the channel. 2, share the podcast out on your social medias. And 3, hit that like button to promote the content, as well as be sure to follow the hosts in the link in the descriptions below. Now that housekeeping is out of order or done, let's get into the news this week. So, we have PS Plus Essential offering a free PS3 game, and it gave it away 10 years ago. So we got the games that we're getting for this month. However, one of them is a repeat.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, to me, it feels lazy. I mean, what are the numbers on people who are still PS Plus subscribers from 10 years ago to today? I mean, I feel like it's a large people are dedicated to the platform, and to do this is a slap in the face to the loyal customers as your big title game that you're given this month.
I'm not so sure on that front. Personally, I've already had the game from PlayStation Plus. I actually got about halfway through it, and then I wasn't liking what I was doing. You know, when you're playing a game for the sake of playing a game because there's nothing else going on at that particular time, I didn't like playing that game for the sake of playing that game. I wasn't getting anything from it. So it's not one that I'm going to pick up and play again personally. But it was given away 10 years ago. But when you think about how many PlayStations there were in the world 10 years ago, they were struggling to compete with the Xbox 360 at that point. We had the PS3, Xbox 360 around, and 360 came out at $100 less than the PlayStation 3. It had Halo at launch, and it wasn't just any Halo, it was Halo 3 at launch. And then they just kept going from there with Xbox Live and all of these gamer tags and friends lists and voice chat. They had the platform that people wanted to be on. So PlayStation were playing catch up. And I don't think it's so bad a thing coming back around. It's not the exact same version. It's not the PlayStation 3 version that they're giving away this time. And even if it was, that would mean that most people who are PlayStation players now wouldn't be able to play it anyway, because the PlayStation 3 architecture is not compatible with PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. So what they've done is they've given away the definitive edition, the remastered edition, whatever they call it, which is a 2-year-old release. It came out 2 years ago, and it's basically taken that old game, made it fancier, prettier, adjusted some of the controls so it reacts a bit more to what we're used to in the modern era, and made it completely playable upon modern hardware, which wasn't available with the one that we got 10 years ago. It's not a great look when people say, oh, it's just a repeat, we've had this game before, but also it's not a bad look when you consider, actually, there's a lot of people who may have this game who can't play it, and we've now got 40 million PS5s sold to people as end users. How many of them were a PlayStation Plus subscriber 10 years ago? I doubt it's 30, 20, or even 10 million of them, because I was in the minority when I got that game. There were not many PlayStation Plus subscribers because it didn't do what Xbox Live Gold did. So yeah, I can see why people are pissed off if they've had it before, if they're 10-year subscribers such as myself. But how long have you been a PlayStation Plus subscriber? Do you have a copy of that game from PlayStation Plus, or is this your first time getting it, Rudigs?
Yeah, I've not jumped into the Mafia series. I watched SPG play a little bit, and it was a little bit funny to see the glitches of a car bouncing up and down and just like that. It's a little bit like Grand Theft Auto from what I saw. I remember playing Mafia 3 on Stadia, so that I did have an experience with, and it was a great game. I enjoyed it very well, but I have not experienced Mafia 2. I have only been a subscriber for over a year now, since Stadia died. So for me, this is a brand new game. I just feel like when you have a catalog of all these games, to repeat one, I guess they ranked high enough in the decision-making process to put it in here. I'm sure it's an algorithm-based choosing these games, but I mean, people get to write articles like this, like they're double dipping, and you get to use it, you reusing games you've already given away.
Yeah, you get to have your fake outrage, you get to have your little clickbaity titles and such as, oh, they're double dipping, they're giving away the same game. It's not the same game. It's a remastered, remade, and upgraded version of that game. It's a game that's available on current hardware, which the previous one that they've given away isn't. How many people still own a PS3? I'm in the minority there. There's not many people like me who still own that PlayStation 3 console. Many sold it to get their PlayStation 4 or their Xbox One, whatever they had in the next console generation. So yeah, I don't think it's a terrible thing. It's if we start seeing them give away the exact same game that I may have more issues. But again, it comes down to the question of, is this a banger title that loads of people want? And we've got so many more subscribers now that it makes sense for these guys on Essential to get these sort of games.
Well, you may have convinced me that it's a good idea after all. Here is the full November monthly games catalog that they're giving away here. These games will be playable on November 7th, so that's tomorrow if you're catching this. Plus, there's a Sony Pictures Core benefit as well. So I know that I'm jumping to the blog here, but I wanted to go over this since we are talking. You're getting Mafia 2. Yes. Dragon Ball, how many Dragon Balls do they have? Oh my goodness.
Mate, Dragon Ball has been retelling the same tale since the 80s. I am one of those anime nerds. I'm one of those weeaboos who doesn't actually like Dragon Ball. I know this has got me cancelled a few times in the cosplay scenes and such, but it's one of those series. They literally tell the same story time and time and time again. And if you enjoy that, great power to you. Go enjoy it. But for those of us on the sidelines, the casual bystander, where maybe you just want a good game in those skins, the games are doing the exact same thing. They're telling the same story with the same gameplay from Bandai Namco. And hey, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, and I know there's a lot of them out there, there's a lot of nostalgia with that series. A lot of people are going to be happy to get anything DBZ, but I am not one of those at all.
Come on, I mean, the opening song, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z. I remember that.
Oh yeah, the lovely 4Kids dumbed down version. Like we got the pirate rap in One Piece.
Oh.
Like, these were not good. These were not the way to do anime intros.
Ear bangers, earworms. They stuck in there.
Yeah, that pirate rap was amazing. The Dragon Ball opening was awesome, but when you hear the original Japanese openings as well, it's like, why did we ever change these damn things? They were so much better.
Oh yeah. I'm sure the Japanese had some great musical compositions as well. But that polka rap, come on, the polka.
The pokey rap, yeah. I cannot remember the pokey rap at all. I know it's just, I know the tune, I know the rhythm to rap in, but which Pokemon come in which order, I do not know. I could not give you that one at all.
Nor should you. Aliens Fire Team. This looks to be a third-person survival shooter. That sounds pretty cool, and it's set in the Aliens worlds.
Yeah, it was sort of the follow-up to PS5. Isolation, but because
it's the PS5 game on the lineup here.
Yeah, I don't know what to feel of this month's lineup because there's absolutely nothing in it for me. This game was one of the follow-ups to Alien Isolation and didn't hit the same notes Alien Isolation did. Alien Isolation was a bit of a cult classic. Like, lots of people enjoyed watching people play it because they couldn't play it themselves because it was too damn scary. Those who did play it absolutely adored the atmosphere and the having to creep around and not being able to fight back. And then you got like a 4-player squad co-op shooter to follow it up. It sort of missed the mark of what made Isolation so impressive. So for me, this month feels like a total miss, but I had an amazing month last month with what was offered, so I can have a miss this month and other people can be catered to. That's absolutely fine. I don't need to be drowning in games I want to play every single month from these subscription services.
I hear you. Makes a lot of sense. Don't fill me up every month. I gotta eat from last month still. We're pleased to see such strong engagement to Sony Core Pictures. This is cool because starting November 1st, as part of our launch promotion, PS Plus members will receive a 15% discount on all content available for purchase and rental. So, pretty cool if you're looking out and getting some content as well. You may as well wait for November 1st and get that little discount. Say you want to watch the new Spider-Man. Yeah, or if you haven't seen Gran Turismo, maybe you want to put that up.
Good shout.
Yeah.
I would not waste that 15% discount on Uncharted. It's not that good a movie, but there will be people who enjoy it, who like it. It's just mindless action fun in the vein of old Indiana Jones. So there's a lot of really good stuff on that service, and the picture quality, the audio quality, is beyond anything I've ever seen outside of an actual Ultra HD 4K Blu-ray put into the device. So 15% off any of these awesome movies, TV shows, or anything that you want to get published by Sony. That's a deal if you ask me.
Yep. And make sure to add Callisto Protocol, Farming Simulator 2, and Weird West. The big one, Callisto Protocol. Make sure to add that one before it goes away. Big warning. You have until today. So I don't know if it's still available, but good luck.
You have until midnight your local time today, which is the 6th of November 2023. So if you're watching this on catch up, you've already missed it, unfortunately. But you have until midnight today to claim those games.
Yep. Now, there was an acquisition that happened.
Indeed.
Very recently. Sony buying up a company, but it is not a game developer. No, it is not. iSize.
No.
And what do you want to jump into iSize? Do you know a little bit more on the company's background?
Well, big up for the home team. They are a British company.
London.
They have been in, I think they've been in like dealing and building and doing their thing for 4 or 5 years at this point. And you mentioned Stadia earlier, which was a nice little bit of a sort of segue into this. The reason Stadia worked so well for so many people was it could give you a good gaming experience on high latency networks. They specifically built it to do such a thing. What we find with a lot of video streaming services, a lot of live streaming services, even stuff like we're using today to make this video, even things like cloud gaming, they need low latency. Most of these things need low latency because they're sending information back and forth to allow you to access that content. In terms of cloud gaming, it needs to be really low latency because you're sending information back about what needs to happen in the game on screen. Your inputs need to travel however many thousand kilometers or miles to the nearest data center, as it may be. What iSize have been doing is working on algorithms, artificial intelligences, and basically pipelines to make this data smaller so that you can send the same amount of data or even more data over the same bandwidth. So what they've specifically focused on is video streaming. What they want to be able to do is get a 4K video to you in the same amount of bandwidth as a 720p video, which classes as standard definition. So if you can get a standard definition bandwidth but a 4K definition video, it's going to be great for the end user because they're using less data in general to get the same exact experience. What that then does for providers and such as well is open up bandwidth space on their end to offer more services or even better services, whatever the case may be. Part of this I would probably see going into Sony Core, which we've already mentioned today, because that is that high level streaming service and it does use a lot of data. Like, there's no two ways about it. If you want picture quality, audio quality at the level that Core are offering, you're going to be using a lot of bandwidth. And if they can lower that bandwidth, and as it is a PlayStation Plus premium perk that you get like 100 movies from PlayStation Core on the console, it's absolutely fantastic if you can lower the bandwidth that people are using. But I also thought about cloud gaming, because cloud gaming uses a lot of bandwidth. As we've said, we need it really low latency. But if you can lower the amount of bandwidth it needs to offer the same service, the latency can be a little bit higher or even stay the same, and you still get a better performance out of things. They can make that game stream smaller for the end user, which means they can use it on a lower bandwidth connection. So those people who are still on ADSL connections of only up to 15 meg per second can still get a good cloud gaming experience. It seems like a very now-see, nuanced acquisition, this one. There is definite purpose behind it. It's not going to be completely apparent to so many different people, but judging by what iSize do, this work in lowering the bandwidth to give the same internet-based service to people, I think they're aiming at like Sony Core and PlayStation Plus Premium Cloud Gaming here to make those services better.
Well, thank you for that in-depth analysis, and I look forward to reaping the results that iSize can deliver, better bit rates and higher quality when streaming. So, good acquisition. No, it won't result in games, but Sony, they focus on as much hardware, if not more hardware, than they do software sometimes. 2023.
Cough, cough. Yeah, this year.
Speaking of hardware, let's jump into some PS5 Pro leaks. That's right. It's that time of year. After we've got the slim model, that the PS5 Pro is being leaked. So, there is, according to their sources, the PS5 Pro features an 8-core Zen 2 CPU with clock speeds in excess of 4 gigahertz. An RDNA of 3 GPU that runs up to 2.8 gigahertz and 16 gigabytes of 18,000 MTs per second GDDR6 memory, now with a bandwidth of 587 gigabytes per second. Now, I'm not a huge computer guy. I don't know all of this in literacy as much as I should. That's why I have a PlayStation, because I don't understand the computer language. But consulting some friends of mine and listening to what they had to say, they are explaining to me that this is essentially equivalent to a 3080 gaming rig. So it could be a massive step up. So right now, the PS5 currently, I believe you're looking at about a 2000 series graphics card. So we're talking about coming right up to the 3000 top of the tier graphics card. This would enable and lock 60 FPS at 4K for any current game. And I believe what they're trying to do is to make sure that they're able to run these Unreal Engine 5 games as efficiently and optimized as possible. What is your thoughts on this leak, and what are you thinking about it?
If it's true, it's quite shocking that they're doing such a thing. On one hand, I totally get it. You want to have the best experience possible for the gamers on your platform. You want to make sure that they get the best visuals, the best frame rates, the best load times, everything that they possibly can for a really good price with just a box under their TV. That is the whole point of making a console. And they had such huge success with the PlayStation 4 Pro in the middle of the last generation that I could see why they'd maybe entertain the idea of a PlayStation 5 Pro, in this generation. The other side of the coin, the other side of the argument for me is how many people are taking full advantage of the PlayStation 5 as it is? Like, there are so many people that I know who've still got a PlayStation 5 plugged into a 1080p TV. So they're never going to get those 4K visuals. So having a device that's capable of running 4K 60 plugged into a 1080p monitor isn't going to make any difference to them. There are those who plug it in through a capture card, and it's always running through a capture card, and it's a HDMI 2.0 capture card because they can't be bothered upgrading it or don't need to upgrade it for the streams or content creation that they are doing. And so again, going beyond what's currently there, it seems kind of pointless. There are those of us, myself included, who really like to be on that bleeding edge of technology. And the specs that they are speaking about with this leak, if they are true, and it's a big if because we still don't know if a PlayStation Pro is coming this generation, despite these leaks and thoughts and such, it doesn't seem to make a huge amount of business sense from a lot of analysts as well. It's very interesting because they're sort of doubling the power of the base PlayStation 5. And I don't see how people are going to be able to take advantage of that. I couldn't take advantage of that. My TV can only do 4K 60, and I already get 4K 60 out of the base PlayStation 5. If I just throw basically a 3080 version of that at that TV, I'm going to get the exact same experience as I'm currently getting. So it's a bit weird, to say the least, to me. The specs are incredibly impressive, I will say that much. To be able to be squeezing that much out of basically the same sort of footprint as we have with the launch model is unbelievable, but I question how useful it will be to most end consumers.
Well, I think what we see is a trend, right? And I think it's going to be hard for Sony to break out of that trend where they may have already plotted a path that says PS5, PS5 Slim, then PS5 Pro. Could we see this thing in 2 years for the last 2 years of the console cycle? I think that's a big possibility. And I think that this console needs to be future-proof so that they can keep releasing games into the PS6 lifespan for the next couple of years, because I'm hoping that when they come out with PS5 6, if these details are not describing an actual PS5 6, because it being double the strength is a lot more, or very, you know what, it is very similar, because I have up here on the screen the jump from PS4 to PS4 Pro, and that's what I was looking at,
yeah,
to see what kind of relation it is, and it looks like that's what they did. So I feel like the jump here is very similar to what we're reading on screen.
It could be very similar, and for me personally, it made a lot of sense in the PS4 era, because when PlayStation 4 started, the highest quality TV on the market was 1080p, but very quickly we had 4K and 8K TVs, and people were buying into these, granted at like ridiculous levels of expense, but they were buying into these televisions for this amazing high-level content, and these consoles that they'd released just 2 to 3 years ago weren't keeping up. The PlayStation 4 Pro came out in 2018. It may have been 2017 it came out. I know I got mine personally in 2018, so I think it was 2017 the PS4 Pro came out. and that was around for 3 years before the entire generation was replaced with the PS5. I have used my PlayStation 4 Pro since getting the PlayStation 5, and it does still get used quite regularly. A lot of it's for content creation, just to see how games that are released on both sides of the fence work and what have you. But some of it's just because I need to game at that moment in time, and the main living room TV or console are taken up with my partner's usage, so I can still play elsewhere. So yeah, if it's giving things legs for going into the next generation, or even to just extend this generation, similar to what like the new 3DS did for Nintendo, where it was way more powerful. There were certain games that could only run on that new 3DS, but it had the entire backwards compatibility, and there were a lot of games released for the new 3DS that could run on the old 3DS, just with certain features missing. Maybe they could even do like a half-generational upgrade and leave that as the primary console for an additional 3 or 4 years moving forward, and delay the PS6 to keep their costs down. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is behind this. I'm struggling to see a reason for it from a consumer perspective at this precise moment in time. But like you say, if it's 2 years before the end of the current generation, then I could see a lot more sort of clamoring for it at that point as the legs start to grow long on these current consoles.
What I hope is that when we see the PS6, and my estimation is that it'll be an AI. We'll see AI-enabled consoles become a marketing tool that they're going to be pumping out there. So that's what I think we're going to see, and that's why I think this is a stepping stone, because it's right before that AI-enabled graphics card, right? So
the thing is with your consoles, they're not like for like with the PC graphics cards. So whilst you've got so many AI features on the 3080 graphics card, like your DLS3 frame generation, like your V-Syncs and all this sort of stuff, what you're not going to get is a like-for-like parity on a console that has the same sort of power. Like, yes, it's the same sort of graphics processors. It's coming from AMD. It's the other side of the fence. It's Team Red over on PC and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you speaking about those AI features, they are specifically for computing, for desktop computers, laptop computers. They're not going to have the same sort of application or even be built into these graphics cards, because they only need to game. They only need to do game-centric stuff. And there's not a huge amount outside of frame generation and like screen syncs and all that sort of stuff to work with AI at this moment in time. Again, further down the line, that might be different, but right now, it would be a pretty darn pointless throwing into a games console very expensive artificial intelligence technology that's going to up the price of the hardware out of the range of the people who would be buying the hardware.
Yeah, you make some good points, and I guess time will tell. I just think it's such a buzz marketing tool word that we could see. But like you said, if we get this PS5 Pro with specs as is, it looks like it's already using AI if it takes advantage of the DLSS and other features like that. But hey, we are letting you guys know that the specs have been leaked, quote unquote leaked. No, we don't have official news on it, but be sure to indulge and conversate about the PS5 Pro leak. Will it come or will it won't come? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's get on to the next one. Oh my gosh. I feel like I keep bringing this up to you, and then you keep shaking your head. And
I am good at shooting you down. If this was Star Wars Squadrons in VR, I would be taking you out readily every single time.
So we won't spend too much time on it, but apparently DLC announcement is coming this year for God of War Ragnarok. It came out of a Spanish outlet. So apparently very accurate leaks in the past. And this is a source very close to Sony that claims DLC as its own standalone game, similar to Miles Morales. And they're going to be announced at the Game Awards. So be on the lookout. This is the news. People are saying an Atreus standalone game coming out or being announced for release.
That is
on the Game
literally the
Awards.
only way I can see it making sense.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this before. God of War Ragnarok completed the Norse Saga story. DLC for it makes no sense. We've never had DLC for any other God of War game. It would be out of left field for the series and feel very alien and wrong to throw DLC on a title that was so perfect and so complete upon release. An Atreus standalone release, a half sequel like Lost Legacy, like Miles Morales, like we've said in previous shows that this gaming industry needs, that would be better for this gaming industry than the live service push we've had for many years. A half sequel for Atreus would make a lot more sense. There's a lot more of his personal story to tell. He's off searching for giants and co, as we know from the end of that game. So yeah, that could be very interesting. And again, as a standalone, I would like a standalone game, just an Atreus game. I think that would work really well. But it is literally, as far as I can see from my experience with the franchise since 2005, the only way that this is going to work and not piss off a bunch of God of War fans, because we are used to getting our complete experiences when we buy the game immediately sort of thing. So we'll see. It's the only one that I would accept an Atreus standalone half sequel.
I hope so. I mean, he had some entertaining combat abilities. He was a little hot-headed. I've seen the grow up AI images. He looks badass. So we'll see what happens. I'm all for it. Give me more content in that world. And I like the speed of Atreus. Atreus was much faster than Kratos. So I liked that combat. But he couldn't touch
Very
Heimdall.
much so, yeah.
Heimdall.
You need to be a God of War to take down someone who can see all, I feel. It was written in the stars.
Yes. Well, let's take a look at what's happening with the PS5 Slim. So we're going to take a quick look, and I know this is going to be incredibly hard for Dorgon because I have a terrible setup. That's my fault.
It's all right. I've watched the video. I know what goes on.
Okay.
Wow.
I want to see them side to side.
Yeah, the side by side is phenomenal.
It's a lot smaller.
I did not expect it to be that small. Do you know? Have you ever seen those knockoff ones you can get on like Wish or Etsy?
Yeah.
That they call themselves PlayPort 5 or something, PP5 or whatever the case may be. It comes with 2 controllers, 500 games installed, and all this shenaniganery. It looks like one of those next to the original. It really does. It's so much smaller, and I know there are a lot of people who thought that the original was far too big, a bit ungainly, a bit ugly. I disagree with all of those people, and I will fight them at the gates if I need to. But yeah, this is so much smaller. It feels almost original PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 2 Slim, like cutting down in size. It's huge. It's a huge difference.
Yes, the price did not shrink along with the console. Sorry about that. But
it's a situation. There's still the same tech inside. It's just smaller packaging on the outside, so you can actually fit it in your entertainment unit, Ron.
But awesome to see how small it is. It's got all the ports. It has the exact same amount of ports, nothing different on it, right?
It's actually changed the ports quite a bit. So your front-facing ports, instead of one USB-A and one USB-C, you now have 2 USB-C front ports, which is really handy for me because the PSVR 2 takes up the USB-C on the front port of the original PlayStation. So if I want to plug in, say, a USB-C dongle, which is what's coming with their new headsets,
right,
I don't have another USB-C port. I have to plug in a USB-A adapter with the USB-C then plugged in. What we're also getting is 3 10 gigabit ports and 1 5 gigabit port, rather than the 210, the 2.5 that we've got on the launch model. So it is an upgrade in ports. It's doing a lot better in that front. And considering a lot of accessories that are coming out are USB-C, like C2C cables and that sort of stuff, makes a lot of sense to have the 2 USB-C ports accessible at the front. is a bit of a pain for the charging cable for your controller, because that's USB-A and we'll have to take up one of the rear ports. It's also a bit of a pain for things like this, your dongle for like your Pulse headset and so on, because that's a USB-A port. So it will make certain things more difficult to access, but at the same time, it's advancing technology and I like to see USB-C on basically everything, please.
Yeah, I'd love to see that they did do a little bit of upgrading for it. Obviously having faster connections makes a difference when you're trying to feed information. So cheers to them for doing that and recognizing that they're a little bit short on it. What are they testing out? I think the sound it makes? Yeah. So this was a very interesting one. The device they've got to test the sound, it's got a 20 decibel floor. So if it goes below that, it won't pick it up. Both consoles at rest, so when they're either in rest mode or on the home menu, they sit at less than 20 decibels. But when they're working, when a game is running, they give off the same amount of noise. There's a difference in noise profile. The original PlayStation has a much more even profile because it comes out of both sides at the back, whereas the new one, because it's got a different vent layout on the back of the console, has a more right-leaning noise profile. But depending where you put your console, mine sits in an entertainment unit underneath the television. That wouldn't make a difference to me at all. It would fit in that unit a lot better though. Oh, well, I never would have thought to run those tests on it, but there you go. People listening.
What happens when you give things to tech heads?
Well, anything else that you found interesting while watching this breakdown or teardown of the PS5?
There were a few things. The fact that the fan is exactly the same is impressive, because it means you get the same amount of cooling as the base level PS5 in this slim model, and because it's smaller, that technically means more cooling. But they've also widened the splay at the top of the plates, so whereas it's quite tight on the base PS5, they're a bit wider on the slim, so there's more exhaust vents for that hot air to come out, so the console should run cooler. Contact pads are a bit sparse, the heatsink is still massive, and they have different size screws for every slot, so do not take one of these apart yourself unless you have a master's degree in engineering, because they're going to be a pain to put back together.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, I don't think his plan is to put this thing back together.
You never know with these guys, they've done stranger. Yeah, one of your local lads, this one, Linus Tech Tips, he's only down the road from you.
From me?
Mm-hmm.
He's Canadian?
In your neck of the woods. He is Canadian. He is from, I believe, Toronto. They've got their massive studio in Toronto. I might be wrong. That's where they were originally. I don't know if they've moved, but yeah, he's one of yours.
Oh, well, that's cool to see. Give it up for the Canadians.
Yeah, we're giving it up for the Brits and the Canadians in this one.
Well, that's awesome. And right now, if you didn't know, the PS5 Slim is coming with Modern Warfare 3, the new edition. Oddly enough, it's an
on sale
couple.
Friday, I want to say Friday the 10th that it's on sale. Yep. So you can start purchasing it this week, I believe.
Well, awesome stuff to see, and get excited for the PS5 Slim.
I'm very surprised how small it is. I like it.
Yeah, it's very kawaii, as the Japanese would say.
Kawaii!
Fortnite honors its past in Chapter 4 by bringing back the old school map from the very first year of Fortnite. I believe Season 4 or 5 was the map that they brought back. It was absolute monkey bangers for them. I mean, they went up to, I believe, 3.5 million concurrent users. I believe I saw their population
44.1 million in 24 hours. That is, they had more players.
Where did you get your numbers? I was trying to get the numbers.
They put it up on Threads or Twitter or one of the two. I saw it on, but yeah, they were saying 44.1 million players in 24 hours of this season launch. That is more players than PlayStation 5 owners.
That's
Just to
insane
try and
the
put that in
membrane.
perspective.
Wow.
Utterly
Yeah.
insane. Utterly insane. But kudos to them. Like, they're one of the only live service games and battle passes that kind of makes sense out there, even in the current world where that live service bubble is sort of popping. And that original map, it's the one that so many people know. It's the map I played on when I played Fortnite. I've not returned since because I couldn't be bothered keeping up with it, but I could return for this because I know where I'm going, what I'm doing, and all that sort of stuff. It's a very smart marketing move, but when you then think that this thing's been around for nearly 10 years, you're like, where has my time gone? When did I get so old?
Yeah. Damn, Dorgon.
Yeah.
As well as
Sorry
they're
about
dropping all sorts of microtransactions that you can scoop on up. You know, the only one I'd recommend is Ice Cream Banana Man. But other than that, cool to see. Good for Fortnite. Getting those V-Bucks. Will you be playing?
Although they've gone up in price, so you can't get as many anymore.
No. Will you be playing?
I might dip my toe in. Depends if I can get the likes of Wibblesniff and Massively Gaming into it. I think Lee will definitely have a game on one of his streams or something. He was very into Fortnite in the last few seasons and had huge success with the streams. I don't know what his connection to the OG is, but he's always up for a bit of content.
There we go. Well, what's going on in PlayStation World? We got Honkai Star Rail version 1.5 unveils Ghost Hunting Adventures. So this is a free-to-play game that they launched recently, and they're getting some DLC coming November 15th. So be sure to check that out if you're a Honkai Star Rail fan. This game is blowing up in popularity, and I believe it's in the Genshin universe.
It's made by the same company, so MiHoYo make the game. I don't know whether it's in the same universe. It's definitely got the same art style, which definitely helps.
Yes.
Recognition and people wanting to jump on board, but it's the same sort of genre. It's a gacha game, so you go in, you earn your tickets out in the world, you then go trade those tickets to try and get different characters to make a team build. This one is more of an auto battler, so you set your team up with their specific skills and weapons.
That, yeah.
And then when you enter into battle, they will go in an order that their skills say they should. And so you have to build the right sort of team and pray that that team can win in a match that you send them into. Basically, you're a football or NFL or basketball team manager, and you send your team out there and you've done everything you can, and now you have to wait for those fools out there to either win or lose, and then you train them up some more to make sure they can win the next one. Just with swords and guns.
And some sort of star train, I assume.
I don't know what the Star Rail bit is. I've seen so much gameplay of this. Like, I've watched Wibblesniff's entire playthrough. I have never seen a train. Like, I don't get where the Star Rail comes from. I've never seen a train.
Well, coming soon, trains. Ghostbusters, this is one for PSVR 2, so strap on your helmets. The news coming up, introducing 2 free game modes for the Ghostbusters. Trap ghosts, and heist, and seek, and infestations. So don't cross the streams in this action-packed Ghostbusters game, where you blast the ghosts, throw the traps, and live out all the fun movie moments. Good to see for PlayStation VR 2. You will need it to play, and yeah, I have not heard you speak on this one, so I don't believe you have this game.
I don't have it yet. No, it is one of those that I'm looking to get at some point. It is, however, one of the most expensive VR2 titles on the store. It comes in at £44.99. That is the exact same price as Horizon Call of the Mountain. And it doesn't look as good in terms of, you know, visual fidelity and such as Horizon Call of the Mountain. And part of that's going to be MetaQuest 2 fault, because you're going to build for the lowest common denominator, and MetaQuest 2 is the most prolific headset out there. I believe you even have one. So that could be
I
holding
do.
this particular release back, but it's Ghostbusters. You've got your proton pack on, you've got your traps. It's going to be fun. It's just, for me, at this precise moment in time, I don't have the spare finances to throw at that one and have a play. Even after winning against PlayStation to get the money back for Broken Edge. So the end of that VR debacle was that I did get my money back because they realized that the game wasn't doing what the game should be doing and working in VR, which is amazing. But yeah, it's a very expensive VR title, and from all the reviews I've read, it's fantastic, but it's short. So for my money's sake, I need it to come down in price in a sale or something before I can pick that one up.
Ghostbusters. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. All right, well, if you believed the rumors, here is another rumor that disqualifies the rumor from before.
All
Last
the
of
rumors,
Us.
they're like rumors on rumors of rumors on rumors.
Right. And enough rumors, you get a house of rumors.
I don't know what that's made of, and I don't know how well it would turn a storm, but we've got a house of rumors right here.
Yes, so apparently the Last of Us multiplayer is not dead. It is still alive. And the game director is still working on it. It can't be for nothing, eh? So that is what we're hearing. A basic quote from the game director saying that he's still working on it, but he is committed to it. Even though it was basically suggested that it was on ice based on previous reports, they had heard that Bungie had sort of shut it down and that was it, it was done and gone. But this article says there is a rumor that it is still being worked on and that we could see it soon.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yes,
the original
I'm
Last of
still
Us game
working on the
launched with
game.
Faction. Yeah, I'm working on the game, but you don't know the game exists. Like, there's been nothing official. Well, there has been official, because Neil Druckmann came out at the Game Awards, I want to say 2 years ago, and said that, yeah, we are working upon the multiplayer aspect for The Last of Us Part 2. Because the original game, Last of Us, it launched with its multiplayer aspect, which was called Factions. And everybody expected The Last of Us Part 2 to do the same, because Uncharted 4 launched with multiplayer, just like Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2. And I do miss the co-op and multiplayer that we got with those. I wish they'd bring those back in just like a whole online package. But they're very good at multiplayer on Naughty Dog. They're good at the co-op multiplayer. They're good at the story multiplayer. They're very good at the versus multiplayer. It's a lot of fun whenever they've made it. And I think what people wanted was just more factions looking prettier. And it didn't come with the launch of The Last of Us Part 2 in 2020. We got told it was coming in 2021. And we're now in 2023, and we've literally seen, other than this one piece of key art that Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann provided to us on that Game Awards stage, nothing about it. So to hear that it's cancelled, that it's been put on ice, that Bungie have said to reset it, given what Bungie have gone through in this last week with all of their layoffs and their issues and missing revenue predictions by 45%, is Sony actually willing to listen to them on their other live service titles or other multiplayer titles? If they missed that badly, like 55% off the mark is a big margin. So yeah, it's a weird situation. We know it exists in some way, shape or form, but we've seen absolutely nothing on it. And the director saying, yeah, I'm still working on it, that's great, but I heard about it 3 years ago, man. Where is it? Show us something, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the big thing, is we know games take longer to make this time around, but showing us something would go all the way to putting this out and squashing it. I think we should have seen something in the State of Plays coming out last year, but I think it was pulled. But hey, we're hearing now, direct quote from the director of the game, yes, I am still working on the game. So, you heard it here first. Not on Push Square, here on Super PlayStation.
Yeah, not on Push Square, not on the article that we're reading it from or anything. No, you heard it here on Super PlayStation
first.
Brothers.
And another thing that is awesome for the PlayStation news, there is some Elden Ring news. Expansion of the Shadow Tree, and no, it's not really news. It's just that it is. There was a earnings call, and the people on the Elden Ring team says that it is development is proceeding smoothly. So therefore, I don't see any hiccups. I don't see any delays coming along, and it'll be releasing right on schedule. My prediction is we could hear something at the Game Awards, giving a little teaser on it. That would make sense as they won the last Game Awards. And
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was watching an interview with George R. Martin, the writer of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And he said he was explaining how he worked with From Software in the process, and he was like, "Yeah, this Japanese studio approached me to write something called The Elden Ring." And I wrote some story and some background, and every now and then they come by. They're really nice people. They show me monsters, and I approve them. I was like, this guy is hilarious. The Elden Ring? Are you the hugest game franchise ever? And he's calling it The Elden Ring. Bro, you wrote this.
This is the guy who wrote Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And hasn't written the conclusion to it for 26 years. Like, he is not a good writer. I'm sorry. If he can't write the end to his own novel series and has to get people who adapt scripts, like adapting scripts, they were great. Writing their own scripts, less so, because they didn't have much to work off. And as he said, he's going to change the ending anyway. He's going to die before he changes the ending at the rate he's writing currently. And then they went to him to write a game. Did they expect it to go well? Did they expect him to know, one, what it was called, what the hell was going on, and any of that? I question his input on the title. I wonder if they just wanted his name on it for sales and marketing.
That is what I gathered from the interview. He said he wrote some set pieces. He did some writing on the atmosphere, but now they just come back to him every now and show him some monsters. So that was funny. Funny to see, but obviously great news that is proceeding smoothly. And we're not here telling you that it is delayed. So that is the other side of this coin, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. And obviously, I like.
And thankfully, George R.R. is not actually writing it, so it'll be good. Or released on time.
This was interesting to me. Gran Turismo 7 is getting a brand new update, and
yeah,
it's kind of scary in a way because what they're doing in this update is they're adding emotions to the AI, right? So now the driving will feel less robotic. There's been complaints in the past previously that we have the Gran Turismo series where the AI just feels detached. But now...
Yeah, it just goes on the racing line and you just drive around it sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's no sort of repercussions to overtaking someone.
But now we're adding personality to AI. So there's sides to that coin, right? It's like, okay, I guess that's cool, but on the other end, it's like, whoa, kind of freaky, right?
If it works out the way I want it to. Now, the game, I have dipped in since this update, and honestly, it feels like a new game. It really does. There's been quite a bit added. But that whole AI section... If anybody watched the Formula One yesterday, the Brazilian Grand Prix, with this amazing titanic battle between Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez, they were still racing at the finish line. They finished 0.053 seconds apart. Like, they were neck and neck. It was a pure photo finish, and they'd been doing this for like 17 laps. Fernando Alonso in a much slower car, Sergio Perez in a much faster car, but Alonso one of the greatest racers of all time. Honestly, some of this AI feels like that. You overtake them, they get mad and they try to fight back, and they will barge you out the way, or they'll just brake way later than you would expect them, and you can't drive in your standard Gran Turismo driving pattern. If they continue to evolve this engine that they're implementing with the AI drivers, it could really turn this into the greatest sim racer of all time. It has that sort of possibility.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's epic. I think it adds a lot to it. I think it is an excellent response to hearing that your game feels robotic. Well, give the AI emotions. Let's see how that works out.
Just cry, pull over, and assume the fetal position.
And I love his emoji based emotions. Emoji, angry face. Cool to see.
It helps you
Love the
understand how they're
development.
going to be driving as well, though, so you can drive accordingly. But I want this to evolve. This is one of those AI engines that has a huge amount of possibility to it. I think this can go a long way with Gran Turismo and racing games in general.
I hope it doesn't go too far where your PlayStation
we don't want
controllers start
Skynet.
saying, "Why aren't you playing me? Why aren't you playing me, Doragon? What are you doing, Doragon? Come play me." I'm like, oh,
be careful how and where you say that.
Don't clip that. All right. Well, let's get into our final stories here. We have some announcement dates for some hardware. The earbuds and the headsets get a release date. And I gotta tell you, I'm not happy. Not happy because it's
why aren't you happy, Rudix? Talk to me.
It's so much waiting. The headset shall follow a couple months later on the 21st of February. Come on.
Yeah, this is. I don't understand what's happening here. So these two headsets were announced not long after the PlayStation Portal was announced, and one of the big selling points of the PlayStation Portal is this new audio connection, super low latency, called PlayStation Link. And there are exactly two headsets in the world that use this PlayStation Link technology, both of which are in this video here that you've got playing right now. They are the Pulse Explore earbuds and the Pulse Elite headset. The PlayStation Portal, I have had the money taken for that this week. I will be getting PlayStation Portal within 7 days. These headsets aren't coming till next month at the earliest. Only one of them's coming next month. The rest is coming in February. What wireless earphones am I meant to use with the Portal, considering it doesn't come with Bluetooth between now and them launching? Or anybody who buys the Portal. Like, this makes zero sense, the release dates on these. If they're ready, release them alongside the Portal. If only one of them's ready, just release one of them alongside the Portal. I'm baffled by this choice of release dates. Completely baffled. It makes zero sense to me at all. I can't be the only one, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you need to launch your audio at the same time, like all these devices were announced at the same time, to have the earbuds come out a month later, like you said, and then have the headsets come out in February of the next year, you're missing the mark. And obviously you didn't coordinate shipping or production, because this was not planned out for marketing purposes.
No, it hurts the new PlayStation model as well. Like, that PlayStation Slim has PlayStation Link built in, so these headsets would link directly to that PlayStation without the need for a dongle plugging in, like we've got with the current Pulse headsets. But we're now at a point where someone can buy that PlayStation 5 Slim this Friday, someone can get that PlayStation Portal next Tuesday, and then they can't listen to it wirelessly without a dongle of some description, whether it's a dongle that creates a Bluetooth connection or a dongle that just plugs in and does its own Wi-Fi connection like the current Pulse 3D headset does. It beggars belief why you would make this integrated ecosystem, which is what PlayStation are looking to build by the looks of things. They're looking to go that Apple walled garden type of route. But if you're building that ecosystem, put the ecosystem out together. If that means delaying something a little bit longer, delay it a little bit longer so it all comes together if you can't move production of something else up. For a year of hardware, this is a bit of a failure in the hardware releases.
You want to hear something that I forgot to write in the show notes, but I wanted to vent about here.
Vent away.
I put remote play onto my Samsung TV.
Okay.
that was recently released. Awesome stuff. It recognizes my DualSense, but it does not recognize my DualSense Edge. Why?
Oh.
Why remote play would you do this to me? This is your hardware. You make it recognizable with remote play. Like,
Can you connect your DualSense Edge to your phone at all?
I can connect it Bluetooth. I can connect it to different things, yes. But the remote play app does not recognize the DualSense Edge. The thing
That
comes
is
in a
mad.
carrying case. It comes in a carrying case. Like, if I bring this anywhere, it's useless to try to remote play anything. You have to have the PS5 controller that comes, like, without the backpack. Like,
That's why you've got to buy another $220 Portal, mate. You need the portable one with the screen to be able to take things away. But then you need a mobile data connection anyway, so you need to take your phone with you too. And honestly, it's just things like this. It's the little things that matter, especially when you're trying to build an ecosystem. And don't get me wrong, a lot of what the PlayStation ecosystem does works well. PS5 is meant to be the core of that, as we went over last week. The PSVR 2 works perfectly with it. The DualSense Edge works perfectly with it. But when you've then got all of these auxiliary satellite type services, accessories, hardware that work off the PlayStation 5, all of these other cool things that work with it should work with the auxiliary things as well. And when those little things don't work, creates the frustration and venting that you're feeling right now. And it's not good enough. Especially not at the prices that we're being asked to pay for these things.
Yeah, and I'm surprised I have not heard more on this, but yeah, sad to see, and I hope they create a fix, update it. Your DualSense Edge should work with remote play. Come on, PlayStation. But that's my vent.
It's allowed. It's allowed.
And the thing I love this controller. Like, there's nothing I like I would rather play any game with my DualSense Edge. Like, the back panels, next to none in terms of comfort. The weight feels so nice in my hand. Like, the premiumness of this controller, I love. Make it work with remote play.
Yeah, you just want to use it elsewhere. That's the thing. And
Yeah.
like, for how expensive it is, it should be able to be used elsewhere. But hey ho, such is the way things are right now.
But we'll end the show off on some good news. You sent this to me this morning. I had been hearing a lot on this topic, and that is Marvel's Spider-Man moving forward. So this was an interview. Who were they talking to? Do you?
I can't remember. I don't think a name has come out from what I've seen.
Ben Arfman. Which
yes, Mr. Arfman. Okay, I do remember now that you've said it out loud. Wow,
and
my memory is great.
Brittany Morris was a writer as well. So they are talking about this being an evolution of Miles, how the next game, essentially, we will be seeing Miles carry the torch of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Pete wasn't strong enough to carry it himself, so it's all up to Miles, it seems.
I mean, Pete carried the first game fantastically. He was amazing, but he's an 8-year veteran at this point. He's been Spider-Man for 8 years in the first game. This game's set a couple of years later, so he's now 25 years old. So he has been Spider-Man for 10 years. And as we see in this game, Spider-Man gets in the way of everything for him. He's got no career, he's got no job, he's behind in mortgage payments, he's behind in all of his bills. He's basically got nothing to call Peter Parker's. Everything in his life has been dedicated to Spider-Man at this point. Miles has come onto the scene and is showing to be a completely competent Spider-Man. So, like, stepping back a little is no bad thing. And Miles is such a wonderful, interesting character. I do think at this moment, the particular runs that they've got going in the comics, I think Miles's run is superior in terms of storytelling and characterization as well. So I'm loving seeing this. It's very obvious from how the game ends that this is what's happening. I'm surprised that they needed to say this to people, that he is the Spider-Man moving forward sort of thing. But some folk do need it spelling out a little bit on occasion, don't they? Or they miss the nuance of certain moments. So I'm totally fine with this. Miles is a phenomenal Spider-Man, and it's not like Pete is going anywhere. It's not like he's not going to jump in and save people if he has to, but he can have a bit of a life, get his feet under him, and get some balance so that maybe we see a renew your vows type Peter Parker, where he's got a spider family, so he's got a wife and kids and spider powers across the board sort of thing. It'd be very interesting to see what comics runs they pull on for how that dynamic changes moving forward, because it's only been in the last sort of 4 years that Miles and Peter have existed in the same universe in the comics, because Miles came from Ultimate Comics, where his Peter Parker died, and there wasn't a Miles in, well, there was a Miles in Peter's universe in 616, but he was an evil kingpin. So hey, like, it's interesting to see the dynamic that we've got in the 1408 universe and where that's going to go moving forward. But yeah, this makes perfect sense to me. It should be a handing of the torch moment.
Spider-Man is going to be a shoo-in to make kids. I mean, his swimmers are going to be sticking to everything, right? They're going to have no trouble sticking.
How did I know that joke was coming?
Spider sperm. Spider sperm.
Hey, be careful. That killed Mary Jane in one comic. His radioactive sperm.
Oh, I got to read that comic. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's a few twisted comics out there, but yeah, it can be dangerous.
Well, there you have it. We have Peter retiring because he can't get his life together, and we have Miles taken up. But to be honest, Miles was really struggling in his life. I mean, did he ever get his college application done? No. He would write one sentence and then he would be like, oh, I gotta do Spider-Man stuff. Like, he was also losing out in his life as well. So I think it just
I mean, the events of the game play out over like 3 or 4 days. It's not like, oh man, the world's ending. Like 7 weeks have gone by and he's not written his college application. It's 3 or 4 days, man. Like every teenager procrastinates. Every adult procrastinates. Come on.
Yeah. And Ron Slusher, thanks for coming on by, and the answer is yes. Yes, he does. Well,
oh dear. On that note.
ending the show on spider poops. Thanks everyone for coming and hanging out. Dorgon, what do you got going on this week? What can we look forward to? What's videos you got up and running? Tell us about it.
I'm currently working on my Spider-Man 2 PS5 review, so hopefully I'll have the script done in the next few days. Editing's going to be a long one on this one, so we're a week or so out from seeing any video there, but hopefully I'm appearing with yourself on Wednesday to talk about that title in full spoilerific glory. So fingers crossed on this channel, keep your eyes open. If I'm not here, it's still going to be an amazing panel. Otherwise, I have uploaded all of my trophy pops. Outside of that, I've not really been doing much. I've been trying to get the work out the door and just go watch some of my old stuff, please. Give me that engagement. Be wonderful, lovely. What about yourself, my man? I know you'll be streaming just standard 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I got my game streams coming up this week. However, what will I be jumping into? Maybe finishing off some Jedi Survivor. My one constant, though, look out for Family Game Night on Wednesday. We'll be together with the Rue Diglets, and we'll be checking out that new map. Or the old map that is new.
The new old map. Yeah.
The new old map in the new engine that was from the old engine. Anyways, yes. So be sure to check it out. The links are in the description for both Rudigs and Doragon. And until next time, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.
All right, let's roll those credits.
for the sickest bitch.